you build your legacy. You don't build someone else's legacy with real estate investing.
Welcome to the House Hacking Success Podcast, where you'll learn the path to free rent and financial freedom through real estate. Featuring your hosts, Brad Labrie and Drew Klingler.
What's up, everybody? Real quick before we start the show, if you go down to the description or the show notes for this podcast episode, there's a link, and that's going to send you to a page that you can download our free ebook on. This ebook is really good. Brad wrote it, and it covers everything that you need to know about house hacking in a very structured order so you can put all the pieces together. All right, enjoy the show.
Welcome to House Hacking Success. We have Andres Bustamante here today. Andres, we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you guys for bringing me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So you have an amazing story. We're going to talk about a lot. We're going to talk about new construction, kind of your expertise within that. You're in Austin, Texas, which is the #1 emerging market in the United States. So we can kind of talk about that and your expertise within house hacking with new construction, which is an incredible idea, especially within these kind of markets. You're going to talk about how, for such low money down, you can get into these properties and all that goes in with that. But first of all, let's kind of go back to your origination story. Let's take us through what got you into real estate.
Yeah, for sure. So when I was 16, actually, I had the opportunity to go to France, study abroad for a whole year. And that was great because it opened my eyes to just being able to travel, was able to travel a lot, very blessed. And that kind of started opening my eyes to what, I want to be able to travel. I want to have more independence. That allowed me to just realize the potential for, living on my own, traveling wherever I wanted and whatnot. So that year in France was just amazing. Really love that. Fast forward, I came back to El Paso, Texas. That's where I'm from. I finished high school. Then I got into the University of Texas at Austin. So freshman year was great. I decided to get my real estate license because I really, like I said, France helped me open that mindset of independence, and also just being able to use my time however I wanted. So with real estate, you don't really have a boss, and you can decide to really work whenever you want, and you eat what you kill. As you know, you're a real estate agent, so you work hard, play hard. So with that, freshman year, sophomore year was great as a leasing agent. Then junior year was when I really started grinding with the leasing side. So through the money I made through leasing, I was actually able to pay for all of my college tuition and also all of my housing. So I was like, damn, this is awesome. Choosing my own schedule. Love it. Junior year, actually, very funny. One of my leasing clients, she was like, hey, Andres, I have a referral for you. And I was like, awesome. I talked to the guy. I was like, hey, dude, what's your budget? This and that. And he's like, dude, my budget's like 2 million. So I was like, wait, what are you talking about? 2 million? You can buy a condo or something with that. And it's like, yeah, I want to buy a condo. So I'd never done a sale before. And I was like, dude, 2 million, that's pretty insane. So did a lot of research that week. And I told him, okay, these are the properties that we can look at and whatnot. Long story short, he got a condo, 1.1 million. And I was like, damn, 30,000 in commission as a junior. I just wanted to keep doing this for forever, So senior year, graduated. And then my summer of 2019 was when I really had the, what am I going to do full time? So I read a lot of Bigger Pockets, listened to a lot of podcasts, and I decided that through real estate, which is what I love doing, I will achieve the goal of being financially free, which is something that really motivates me. And also, just in general, I love real estate and empowering people, millennials, to achieve their goal of buying a home or being financially free,
Yeah. And Diego Corzo, you work for, we had him on episode 12. His story is amazing.
Yeah.
Just the kind of obstacles that he went through to get to where he is. And he has 6 house hacks, correct?
He has 6 house hacks in Austin, and he has like 12 other properties all around the US.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
he's
amazing.
awesome.
So before we go into your house hacks, because I'd love to get into that and kind of get into new construction side of things and all that. Talk me through kind of what you learned as a leasing agent, the structures of contracts, dealing with tenants, placing them, things of that nature. Walk us through a little bit of that.
Of course. So the the contracts for leasing are way different in Texas. It's a TAA, Texas Apartment Association, and it was just very interesting helping clients in UT. First 2 years, I didn't really know the Austin market as well, but through the relationships I built through those first 2 years with property managers and whatnot, I was actually able to just tell the property managers, hey, you know what? I have these clients. I'm going to send them over to you, and they would usually just sign right on the dot right there. So it was really cool seeing that, build a lot of clientele through that. And just in general, I mean, with leasing, I really learned how to be the most efficient by asking great questions in order to figure out what people really want. So before freshman and sophomore, I was like, oh, what do you want? And showing them like 10 properties. And then junior and senior, I was like, okay, I ask like 4 questions, and now I know what you want. And I'm going to take you to 2 apartments, and I know you're going to love those two. And it's going to be a hard decision between the two. So that was great, you know?
So I'm sure there are a lot of people curious. Like, what were those 4 questions? Just to
So
help our audience out.
of course. So, what area are you looking into? They're very easy questions, but it just gave me a real good idea of what people wanted. What area are you looking into? It was almost always West Campus, which is an area in Austin. And then the beds to baths, that's very important. How many roommates? That's also important because they might want 3 beds, but they're gonna have 4 roommates, so you never really know. And then also one that would always help is kind of giving me an idea of, you know what amenities are deal breakers for you? What do you really want in these amenities? And from there, when I got those top 4, I was like, okay, this is easy. Now I really know what you want.
What advice do you have? So, I mean, you started this at a really young age, and there's probably a lot of people listening that, might be a freshman in college or really early 20s. They might not know how to start, or maybe they don't think that they're going to get, the respect in the industry because they're so young and not as experienced. What advice do you have for people of that age?
Of course, I feel like it's just so interesting how the mind controls everything. And I feel like with this, the only limitations that we have are those we put upon ourselves. So it's just so important to not really limit yourself and assume that someone is not going to go with you because of a young age. If you're perseverant and you're going to grind, you can learn anything on the internet. So it's just more so having the mindset of abundance and being like, you know what? I'm not going to assume that this guy doesn't want to be with me. I know my stuff. It's just up to him. He's going to miss out if he or she does not go through me as a real estate agent or if I don't buy a home, you know?
So let's transition into kind of your expertise in new construction. First of all, before we get into your expertise as an agent, let's talk about your first house hack, which was new construction.
Yeah, for sure. So this was pretty funny. I had just joined Diego Corzo's team, and he's my mentor. We just spoke about him earlier, Diego and Victor Nino. So we were watching the Super Bowl, and I had my second home under contract with the team. And I was like, Diego, I know we're watching the Super Bowl and all, but I need your help doing this contract because I didn't really know how to do the sales contract back then. This was in February of 2020. And Diego came over to my house. We watched the halftime show Super Bowl. And then after that, we went to a study room and we did the contract. And he was like, dude, I know you want a house hack, and I have this great opportunity for you. I know this builder, and he is putting a house back on the market that just came off the market. 4 bedrooms by 3.5 baths. And I was like, wow, I need to go see that. So to go a little back, I had to put my goal November 12th to get a house hack by February 12th. That was my goal. And I did a 90-day challenge. So this was January, February when Diego told me this. And I was like, okay, where is it? He told me where it was. The next day, I looked at the property, and I was like, I need this. I told the sales rep, what do I need to get this under contract? The house hadn't even been built, but I had seen another home that was the same floor plan. And he was like, $1,000. I was like, $1,000. I ran to Wells Fargo because I didn't have a checkbook or anything. And I submitted those $1,000 30 minutes after I had seen it, and the house was mine.
That's amazing, man. So walk us through kind of the numbers with that and getting the tenants. What that looked like, how you marketed. Was it friends? Was it people that just walk us through kind of
course.
The deal and what it looks like maybe to go from beginning to end on a construction project like that for you as a buyer.
Oh yeah, of course. So with this, the beauty of it was that I just needed to put 1,000 in earnest money, and that's not common on a resale. You need to put way more than that.
And
So
what is earnest money for those that don't understand what that would be?
So earnest money is money in good faith, essentially saying that you're putting your money where your mouth is, and you're like, you know what? These $1,000 are showing that I have skin in the game, and if I decide to not purchase this property, I'm going to lose those $1,000. So with that, I put that in, and the home, this was January or February, and the home wasn't going to be finished until May of 2020. So with this, the process is pretty standard. Contracts are standard. There's not really much negotiation that go into it. One thing that's great about the new builds, though, is that they offer incentives if you go with their preferred lenders. So the preferred lender essentially just makes it easier for the builder because they have their contacts as a preferred lender. If you go with another lender, it's just a little harder for the communication and whatnot. They don't really know them personally. So the incentives that I got was all of my closing costs were paid. And on a resale, typically, you're looking at maybe 1 to 3% of the purchase price being your closing costs. So it's pretty hefty price. So that was great. And like you said, the process, it's pretty streamlined. The builders update you regularly on what your house is being built, everything of the sort. Then once it's about to be finished, the house is about to be finished, you do a first walkthrough, orientation. What that is that the builder comes with you. He tells you, okay, these are the sprinkler systems, this is your warranty, this and that, goes through everything that the house has, and then you get blue tape. So you do a blue tape walkthrough as well. You put blue tape on anything that you see. If they didn't paint something correctly, you put blue tape on that, whatever you want. Then 3 days before closing, you do a final orientation. With that final orientation, you make sure that everything that you taped was corrected. And if not, you can delay closing. So that's how all of the builders that I've gone through has gone. And I've helped about 15 to 20 this year, myself and with Diego Corzo. And out of those 15 to 20, about 10 have been with new builds. So with this, very standard. Let's talk about my numbers. So with my numbers, the house was 286,000. I put 10% down. I could have put 3% down as a first-time home buyer though. I decided to put 10% down because it made sense with my numbers. And with this, I didn't have to pay the closing costs, so that was great. So 10% down. I got my 3 tenants before I moved in. Well, no, 2 tenants before I moved in and 1 tenant 2 weeks after my move-in. So the marketing, it was pretty easy because I had a lot of previous clients that follow me on Instagram. And also I'm on a lot of Facebook marketplaces for UT Austin and just Austin all over. So I put a story on Instagram and I had like 5 responses from my friends, people I know and trust. So I was like, hell yeah, this is awesome. So 2 of those friends lived with me. Then my brother moved to Austin. He lives with me. So that's awesome. And funny enough, all of those 3 people are now going to buy a home or have already bought homes. So it's great.
And they're house hacking as well, correct?
Yes, they're house hacking. They were like, dude, this is awesome. I mean, I'm cash flowing my PITI, interest, taxes, and insurance, what you're going to be paying the bank. I put 10% down. The bank is lending me 90% of the home. So over 30 years, I'm going to be paying that. And with this, the PITI is about 1857 a month. And with my tenants, I'm getting 2150. So I'm cash flowing around 300 and living for free. So a lot of people ask me, it's like, dude, what if I'm not cash flowing? I'm like, dude, the way you have to see it is the ROI that you're getting, return on investment. So what you do, if you're cash flowing, great, you add the cash flow, you add your rent savings because it's important. You're going to be renting regardless wherever you live. So why not buy a home and save on the rent, then your equity pay down. So, I mean, you're having your equity paid down by your tenants on a home that's most likely going to be appreciating like it is in Austin. So you get those 3 metrics and divide it by the amount invested, which is a 10%. And my return on investment is like 50 or 60%. And it's just insane. I mean, 50, 60% on real estate. And my home has appreciated about 15K in 7 months. So you can add that as well to the ROI.
Yeah, man, that's amazing.
Yeah, whenever you can cash flow on a house hack, I mean, that's just you're saving on your rent, your living expenses, you're getting the equity, like you said, and you're cash flowing. That's just gravy on top. I mean, we know a lot of people who benefit from house hacking that don't cash flow or, live for zero, or maybe they're paying a couple $100s, which is still significantly cheaper than paying rent or paying a full mortgage.
Oh yeah, it's just insane. I mean, the fact that I just put 1,000 for a new build and got it under contract. I mean, if I didn't want it, okay, worst case I'll lose 1,000. But you know what? I'm like, hey, so if you don't want it, ask the sales rep, what are you guys gonna sell it for? Funny enough, a story like that happened. So Diego Corzo, he got a house under contract for 285, a new build, and his client was not going to end up purchasing it. And they was like, okay, let me just ask the sales rep, what are they going to sell it for? The sales rep said 330. So Diego was like, you know what? No, I have to figure this out. So that was like 40K in appreciation. And Diego ended up partnering with that client of his and he bought it. So funny story, but it's just crazy how getting a new build under contract and then it just appreciates without you doing anything.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So let's talk about that second deal with your brother that is currently going on, the 50-50 partnership. Talk a little about that for our listeners.
Yeah, of course. So with my brother, he lived with me. Well, he still lives with me. And I was very, very excited to have him house hack. I've been telling him about just financial freedom and whatnot. And happy enough, I'm very happy that he decided to take action. He got his home under contract, I believe, 5 months ago. This one was with another builder. So this builder required 3,000 in earnest. So he got this home under contract for 316,000, and this home is going to be finished on the 28th of December. And he got under contract for 316. The house is now the same exact house is now going for 350,000. So, I mean, his house is appreciated. Our house is appreciated about 34K. He hasn't had to do anything. Just insane. So with that, my brother, the great thing about this, his unfair advantage is that he can be a primary resident. So what a primary resident is, you live in the house for a year and you could get that advantage of putting as low as 3% down and having lower interest rates. As opposed to if you get a house as an investment property that you don't live in it, you have to be putting 20% down. So that was his unfair advantage. And he was like, look, dude, I have this money for this. I'll be the primary resident. I told him, yeah, you be the primary resident. I can put more money into it. Let's go 50-50. I'll get the tenants because of my leasing experience. And he was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So my unfair advantage was that I had the capital and I had that. Eventually, I think I'm going to give it to him because he's my brother. Right now, we're doing 50-50 splits and all. But I'm just super excited that he's going to get it. 34,000 in equity. I mean, for 3,000 earnest deposits is just insane.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And you also have a second house hack under contract on a new build. Talk a little bit about that, what you anticipate, and why you bought that one.
Yeah, for sure. So in Austin, this market is just insane. It's so hot. Been seeing a lot of appreciation, and I got my first home, like we had said, April of 2020, and I wanted another one right away. The thing that I did know was that I was gonna have to put 20% down if I wanted one. So I was like, you know what? How can I be smart about this and not put 20% down? Figure that out with a partner. We're going to be putting 5% down. Then I was like, I want another house hack and I want to take advantage of getting a place under contract and the prices right now. So I decided to talk with builders that I had good relationships with. I was like, when is your estimated time for completion and whatnot? And one of them told me, hey, my estimated time is April through June of next year. And I was like, this is perfect because can get this one under contract, get the price locked in, and I can also be a primary resident for my next home since my first year has already finished. So I talked with a lender, really close with that lender. She's awesome. And she's like, yes, you can qualify. Just write a letter letting the underwriter know why you're moving from this home to the other. I wrote that letter and I got it under contract for 326 of 4 beds by 3.5 baths. That's now worth 350. It's the same floor plan as my brother. It's in the south, and the home I currently live in is the north. So with that, I actually met up with a guy that's going to be my roommate. It's going to be, I already have my 2 roommates for that house hack, and my mortgage is going to be around 1,800 to 1,700 guy. So, I mean, I already have 2 roommates. I need one more. So I'm very excited for that.
That's awesome, man. Amazing market. And you having the expertise in leasing. Talk us through a little bit about that, like how you structure your leases and what you're going to do afterwards when you move out of the current place with the lease.
Yeah. So with the leases, pretty standard. I have a contract that Diego and I use, Diego Corzo. Contract's pretty straightforward. Security deposit equivalent of the first month's rent. Then there's just an app fee to do the credit score, background check, and whatnot. Pretty standard. I do minimum of 6 month leases, but I rather have just a full year. So with that, once I move out of the home that I'm currently renting, since I'm living for free and I live in the masters, I'm going to be charging like around 800 for that master's room. And I think it's going to be like 1,000 in cash flow. And then with the other home, the rents are going to amount to like 2,200 in total and cash flowing maybe like 400 to 300. So yeah, the leases are pretty straightforward, just a contract, security deposit, a move-in inventory sheet that just states what was in the room and if there was any damage to anything beforehand. And once they move out, I look at that sheet and I'm like, okay, I might have to take this off the security deposit, or no, you're golden, all good. You keep the security deposit.
So are you doing individual leases? So I'm renting this room. I'm on my own lease. It's not a combined lease.
Correct. With that, you get more bang for your buck. And also, it just makes it easier for people to not have that liability of being on a full lease. Like it's common in Austin. You get a full lease with 2 people in it. And if someone decides not to pay, it's like that other person kind of has to come up with that.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times there's guarantors. So someone who guarantees that this person can pay. I don't have that, but in leasing in UT Austin, that was very common.
Seen it go both ways. It seems to be easier to manage it with individual leases though.
Oh yeah, it's and with this, I always tell my clients that do house hack is to always see kind of the what you can get if you rent for the whole unit, and then also see what you can rent per room, because it's very important. If it's like, dude, you know what? I don't want to be managing each individual. Let me just get a whole lease for a whole unit. My house can lease for like 1,900 to 2,000 if I lease it for the whole unit. So that'll be like 200 in cash flow. But I was like, you know what? I'll put in extra effort, just get each one rented by the room when I move out and cash flow like 1,000.
Awesome. Now, for those curious, because I'm sure there are a lot of people, we get people all the time wanting to move to Texas or moving to Texas, and obviously the scene in Austin is awesome, and the appreciation and all of that. For those curious, do these HOAs make you have they have you come across any that make you have a master lease within there, and then you can rent by the bedroom as well? I know a lot of markets, including my own, the HOAs require a master lease. You can't have individual leases. You can individually rent by the bedroom, but you have to have a master lease. Is that something HOAs out there make you do, or no?
No, that hasn't been a problem that we've encountered ever.
Awesome.
Maybe only once.
Awesome.
Diego told me about that, but that's all.
Cool, man. So let's kind of, for people wanting to go move into Austin or an area equivalent to Austin, walk us through kind of, you talked about the low earnest money deposit, which, as we talked before, it's good faith in almost every state, all 50 states. You have to have some sort of monetary deposit to make a contract legal and bound. So you talked about low EMD costs, that they have these incentives to where they'll pay your closing costs, a lot of benefits to buying new builds. Walk us through kind of the process, who's involved, the team members that you use, and just kind of the process for people that are really interested in wanting to know a little bit more of the nuts and bolts of going through a process like this.
Yeah, so with the earnest, I mean, it's very easy. With this, you go to the builder and it's like they give you the floor plans that are available and whatnot, and you just ask, okay, what's your earnest deposit? What incentives do you offer if I go with the preferred lender? And what's the timeline looking like? Those are the 3 questions I ask. I have a list of long questions that I ask as well, with that I go through with my clients. But I mean, that's very, very much so the important factors right now. And with that, they tell me earnest money. Okay, it's 500. All right. Can I wire that, or can I bring a check? It's almost always you have to bring the check in person. So with that, just bring the check in person and the house is yours, which is pretty insane in a market like Austin. A lot of people don't know about this, and it's unfortunate, but I mean, with resales, if you put a house at market value or a little under market value, I can assure you if it's priced right, you're going to get about 10 offers in 2 or 3 days. So that's how the market is. So it's like really asking my clients and whatnot, what are you guys potentially willing to waive on a resale? Are you willing to waive your appraisal? Are you also willing to do a lower inspection timeline? Or are you willing to go over asking price? And with a new build, it's like, dude, you get it at $500 to $3,000. You can back out of the contract if you want. If you want to back out, why not get the house and then just resell it right away? I mean, the house is appreciated most likely, so you can do that. It's just amazing how new builds offer that opportunity.
Like, let's just say, for example, I just decided I want to go buy a new build tomorrow, but I have no idea where to look.
Yeah.
Do I talk to an agent? Is there someone I can talk to that can help me find new builds in my area?
Oh, of course. So, in Austin, would love to help if anyone's looking in Austin. And I mean, I would say definitely finding an investor savvy real estate agent is crucial because they know kind of everything you're looking for and they've done it, you know? So that's very important. And I have a blog post that I write all about that and house hacking. With this, I would say yes, find a great real estate agent that's done it or helped people house hack. And just in general, you need to really know what your goals are and what you're comfortable with. So I ask a lot of people, would you rather be comfortable or cash flowing? Because essentially you are going to have to decide between a 3 or a 4 beds. 3 beds you probably won't cash flow. You're going to be paying your house down though with other people. You're going to have to pay a little more out of pocket, but that's fine because you're paying your house down. And with the 4 beds, you're most likely going to be cash flowing. It is going to be more roommates, so are you comfortable with that? And yeah, it's really knowing, okay, what's your price point as well? Have you gotten pre-approved? And then from there, we can look at those price points and see what makes sense with your goals and if they align. One thing also that I didn't mention is that all of the builders that I've gone with offer a 10-to-1 warranty. And it's just amazing. The 10-to-1 warranty, what that is 10 years of structural. So any roof or foundation is covered by them through 10 years from the day that you purchase a property. 2 years of HVAC, electric, and plumbing. If you have any obviously you're not going to like throw a diaper down the toilet. It's like, oh, it's your guys' fault. No. So it's really like if there's a plumbing problem that happened because of how they built it. And then 1 year of like the cosmetics. So say, for example, cabinets not closing correctly, doors stopped working or something like that. You can call them and within that year, they can fix anything. So this is something that a resale typically does not offer. And sometimes your agent can negotiate having a home warranty on a resale. But in a market like Austin, probably won't be getting that because the sellers have all of the power in their hands when it comes to negotiations at first.
Yeah, and that's sort of throughout the country, and even with a lot of those home warranties, there's a lot of gray area with a lot of that, and so I also work with a few new build buyers, and there's a lot of perks, to builders actually coming out, holding them to their word. I mean, our state is very adamant on that. The guidelines are very strict for builders, and I'm certain that Texas and Austin is very similar with how fast you guys are growing. So. Definitely a lot of protection to the consumer, the buyer of a new build.
Oh yeah, they're very diligent with that. I went with DR Horton, and my next home is a milestone home. DR Horton has been great. I had a minor issue with a window, and I sent them a home warranty repair request, fixed it within like the day. So they've been great with that.
So overall, I mean, obviously the market is appreciating at a high rate out there in Texas. Let's talk about some of the things that. In retrospect, you would have done differently, or some of the things that house hackers should consider. I mean, there's always downsides to everything. I mean, even in fast growing markets, just like marketing aspects, leasing aspects, things to look out for, tenants. What is some of the advice you would give to house hackers, specifically if they were coming to Austin?
What I would say is don't get scared with the price points because 5 years ago, people were saying this is too expensive. Now, I'm pretty sure you never want to bank on appreciation. That's speculating. But with how the market's looking and all, there's not really anything stopping Austin. I mean, it goes to say Tesla acquired land here, and Apple has built a lot over here. So I've had a lot of clients be like, dude, this is too expensive. And I always tell them, okay, in 5 years, what was expensive is going to be super cheap, most likely. So don't be afraid about going in as long as you kind of have a backup plan. And also, I mean, you got to get your feet wet one way or another. If you fail, fail forward. I mean, you screw up, okay, you learn from it, and then don't make those mistakes again. But I had actually a client that we just got her under contract 2 days ago for a new build that was like, oh, I should have done what you were told me. I told her 7 months ago, you really need to get this house hack. It's great. She didn't get it. She regretted it. And she was looking at more and she's like, Andres, it's so expensive now. She would have gotten like 50K in appreciation, 50K or 40K. And I was like, get this house. I want to go see it. You just have to put 1,000 down, DR Horton, 4 bedrooms by 2.5 baths, 2,200 square feet. And she was like, legit, I'm going to drive over. And she drove over. Within 5 minutes, she signed and she was like super happy. So it's all about taking action. You definitely can it doesn't really have to be a high risk, high reward. It can be low risk because you do your due diligence and you have a great agent, and a high reward, which is what we see with real estate. I mean, you guys know real estate it's a long-term game, but I mean, goes to say I think like 90% of millionaires are real estate investors or more.
For sure, man. A ton of benefits. I mean, we talked a little bit about it. The fact that your tenants are paying down your mortgage over time, while generally speaking, over long periods of times, home prices are going to go up. And it might not be over a 5-year period, it might not be over a 10-year period, but over a 15 and 20-year period, there is a lot of pressure moving these markets forward. It's the American way, and so I like how Warren Buffett talks about the markets, and of course, he is the number one holder of mobile home parks in the U.S. And he talks about the fact that, I mean, in a micro view of the U.S. or markets, it might be grim. It might be, of course, with coronavirus. I mean, across the country, there are a lot of areas that are struggling. But if you look at it in the macro, and if you believe that the U.S. will still be here in 50 years, I mean, why not be, bullish on real estate?
Yeah, of course. And with this, it's kind of like, okay, so rent is typically recession proof. In Austin, especially, there's about 100 people moving here. So know your market first off. And secondly, if you're doing house hacking, it's most likely for the long term. So do you really mind if your house's value goes down? Okay, that is important. But at the same time, if it's for long term, you're the most important thing is the rent that you're getting to cover your mortgage. So I'm like, dude, I don't really care if my house's value goes down. Yes, that's like, oh, damn, that sucks. But I mean, I'm going to hold this for a long time. And I'm also getting tax benefits, depreciation, mortgage interest. I mean, tax benefits are huge in real estate. So, I mean, if my house's value goes down, if there's a recession, I mean, the rents won't really go down by more than $50 or $100. So another thing I also want, don't let kind of a lease that you're in be the reason why you don't invest in real estate. So for me, it's pretty funny. Today is when I should have been moving out of my apartment, like legit today. But I was like, dude, I want to get a house. I'm not going to let the fact that I have an apartment be the reason why I don't get a house. So I was living with 3 other roommates and paying like 900 or 800 to rent one of the rooms in a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom apartment. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to let that stop me. I had my purpose, and when you have a big purpose, your how will eventually find its way. So with this, I found a subleaser, and he's been in that apartment ever since I got my house, and he is going to be actually my roommate in that apartment. He just closed on his home yesterday. So that roommate that I subleased that room for is going to be my client slash roommate's house hacker tenant. So it's just pretty funny how that all became my house hacking tenants all got homes. My apartment roommates also got a home. So everyone has just been seeing the power of investing in real estate.
Yeah, and to agents out there, I mean, something that I've always written into my leases is the fact that, some people, generally we're between minimum of 12 months to 24 months is the leases in my And a lot of people have their eye on buying a home, whether they want a house hack or not. Most Americans want to eventually, grab their stake at the American dream, which is home ownership. And so we write into that we will allow them to, to buy out their lease early, if they go through us as agents.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
smart.
a lot of we have really good tenants. And there's a big incentive if you're the agent involved with the transaction. You can choose to give them back their earnest money or their deposit money early, so that they have more money in the transaction, as far as down payment money and money to for the lenders, and you can use your preferred lenders and things like that. So I always encourage agents to utilize something like that, because tenants, generally speaking, want to eventually get into home ownership, and you can kind of help cultivate that culture from the beginning, when you begin to accumulate units.
Oh yeah, that's actually very smart that you put that in your lease. And I feel like just with home ownership, you get your feet wet. If you don't like it, okay, you have a home, you don't have to buy any other homes. But if you like it, I mean, that will just you build your legacy. You don't build someone else's legacy with real estate investing.
For sure. Let's transition back to you. I love this story about new construction. I think it's awesome. If anyone is in Texas, whether they're in Austin or not, 100% get a hold of Andreas. Walk
Thank
through
you.
that. I mean, it's the fact that you get into a new build, you have the protection, consumer protection that is out there, as far as the just everything involved with it. HVAC, like you said, structural, even cosmetic, protection from things, and then the appreciation, of course, but great tenants. I think that's fantastic. Let's talk about you a little bit, though. What are your goals, looking forward, within real estate as an agent, within house hacking, within growing a portfolio?
Of course. So for real estate, my goal is to help 30 people buy homes within my first year, Keller Williams. I've been with Keller Williams. Right now I'm 24, and I've been with Keller Williams for about 8 months, 9 months. And I've helped on my own about 13 people so far. And with Diego and Victor, I've helped about 5 more people. So total 18. My goal is 30 for this first year. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to reach it because right now I have like 13 people under contract. Out of those 13 people I have under contract means for a home. And for those people that don't know. And of those 13, I believe like nine are house hackers. And about out of those nine, like 8 have new builds, or yeah, 8 or 7, something around that. But those are my real estate goals. 30 people, help 30 people the first year. And then as for my investing, I have 3 properties. My goal really is for financial freedom. And it's not really a unit goal. It's more so how much can the units give me? Because a lot of people tell me it's like, oh, I want 10 units, but it's like, why do you want those 10 units? So it's important to know what passive income you believe will be the passive income that you need to reach that financial independence. So originally it was 10 units by the age of 27 to be financially free. And that's like maybe 8,000 in passive income. So now it's really, I want to get into apartment investing. So I actually had a turnkey under contract in Cleveland, and I decided to terminate that, and I lost 500 in earnest money, so it wasn't bad at all. I was going to be getting like 300 in cash flow, but I was like, you know what? I don't want a limiting belief of my age to be the reason why I don't invest in apartments. So my goal is by April 31st, 2021 to have a 10 to 60 unit apartment complex in the Austin MSA. And I'm going to syndicate that. I already have people that want to invest in that. So I'm very excited for that 10 to 60 unit. And yeah, so I mean, hopefully with that, I can reach financial freedom by the age of 24 or 25.
Cool. Would you say that all the time that you spent in real estate and the experience that you gained is giving you advantage to be able to syndicate? Like, do you think you had to do that due
Yeah.
diligence to get there?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So right now I'm still educating myself. I joined a mastermind for syndications, and it's been amazing. I've been reading a lot of books and talking to a lot of people. And with this, my my what was I gonna say? My background in real estate has definitely helped me. I mean, I have a lot of people that I've talked to. The four people I've talked to are like, I want to invest with you. And I was like, wow. I mean, reputation is so important in real estate. And I've built that trust through leasing. I have had clients that I've helped from freshman year all the way leasing 4 apartments to buying a home. So it's been pretty crazy from when I was 19 to 24 right now. So it's insane. And the experience has definitely helped me just writing contracts, knowing the lingo, knowing the market, and in general, building that trust and having clients that are like, Andres, I trust you. We're going to be the limited partner. We invest with you. You're the general partner, and you do the syndication and whatnot. So just very exciting. I mean, it's building that trust and gathering that know-how. And with my mentors, Diego Corzo and Victor Nino, I've learned so much, so much. I'm so grateful for them.
Yeah, for sure. And I was just on a podcast with some of the guys from Bigger Pockets yesterday, and
Awesome.
we were sort of talking about the idea of mentorship, and a lot of people our age talk about finding mentors, but they talk about it in terms of wanting to find someone to mentor them. And generally speaking, you have to reverse engineer that. I mean, Diego, is good friends of ours, and of course yours. He's a very, very busy guy, and although he has a huge heart, if someone were to just ask him to be his mentor, the amount of time that he would have for them is is not a ton of time. Where you became business partners with him, and now that through mutual benefici you're mutually benefiting each other. He has become that mentor that has a vested interest in seeing you succeed. And oftentimes that is the form that mentorship has to take on, is helping mutually benefit other people, or benefiting their life in some way. Drew's in IT, and a lot of people have struggles with whether it's posting on social media or their IT work. Maybe they want some sort of a website or whatever they're looking for. Somebody who's a high producer in whatever industry or whatever you're looking to do, you can come along and say, hey, listen, I will do this for you if you'll give me the know-how to
100%.
to do this
Yeah.
or that. And so I just want to point that out, to where these people become your mentors because of mutual beneficent.
I 100% agree with that. I love that you said that because it's more so if someone were to, I've had people contact me and just say like, Andres, um, I want to do what you do. Like, what do I have to do? And it's like more so if someone would tell me, Andres, I saw that you're doing house hacking and look at this new build community that I found. I think your clients will really like it. I'd love to talk. If you value, I'll talk to the people regardless. I don't care. But someone will stand out more when it's like, okay, giving me the value, and it's always be giving mentality that I'm like, wow, this person invested some time and knows what I want. I'm a busy person, so they know what I want and they offer that to me. It's like, hell yeah, I'll talk to you whenever you want. So with this, I feel like it's so important to have a mentor if you're getting started. With Diego, super grateful for him. I listened to him on Bigger Pockets and I saw he was in Austin. I was like, dude, I'm gonna reach out to him. Reached out. We got some food somewhere, and the rest is history. I mean, he was like, dude, I want you on my team. I love your goals. I love what you're doing. And I was like, awesome. So I've learned so much from Diego. And if anyone like Bradley said, if anyone's looking for a mentor, it's always finding kind of what that person needs and investing some time to be like, hey, look, I found this and that. I feel like you could really take advantage of that. Let's get on a call. That's what I'm doing with the syndication. I'm looking for a mentor, so I've been reaching out to people, giving them value, and hopefully can do something for them. I mean, I'm willing to put the work in, and also very excited for that.
For sure. And for people that like don't know my background, um,
Oh, 100%. I mean, with that, it's definitely about the education, like you said, and rock stars hang with rock stars. That's so true. Very important to do that due diligence to find that rock star.
Transitioning a little bit, you talked about reading a lot on Bigger Pockets, being involved with the forum, um, you know, listening to their podcast a lot. Talk to us, if you read kind of a book or kind of podcast that really stands out to you, something that really, in retrospect, help you along your journey.
Yeah, so I mean, your guys' podcast is awesome. I've already told you guys are killing it. Great job. And Bigger Pockets, I listen to I don't really listen to music that much, so I listen to podcasts whenever I'm in the car. I listen to How I Built This by Guy Raz. And then I also listen to Real Estate Rockstars with Aaron Amuchistegi. I love that one. That one's awesome. House hacking. There's another house hacking podcast that I listen to, and I mean, just in general, I love real estate. I love educating myself. I listen to a lot of multifamily podcasts as well. Then books. I swear I have all the Bigger Pockets books, and I've read all of them. Really great books, and just in general, okay. If you were to ask me, actually, best book that I recommend, it's not really a real estate book, but it's The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. That book, I kid you not, changed my life because of the fact that I do all of my routine before anybody else well, most of the people I feel wake up maybe at 7, which isn't bad at all. And with this, I wake up like at 4:55 in the morning, then I do the whole routine, the Miracle Morning, and by 7:40, 7:30, I'm like, dude, I'm super pumped. I've gone to the gym, I've meditated, I've done my affirmations, visualizations, visualize what I want, my goals, and I'm like, dude, I'm super pumped. I did that today in the morning, and it just helps me amazing. And it's really, really changed my life. So that book, The Miracle Morning, there's the original one, and then there's one for realtors. And I finished the one for realtors. Amazing book. I got to talk to Hal Elrod like 2 days ago, and I asked him a question. And I was like, dude, like fangirling. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's an awesome book. I read it a long time ago, but really does have a lot of great takeaways. I know a few people that proactively do the Miracle Morning. It's a great book.
Amazing book. I love it. What
Cool.
about
So,
you guys? Do you guys have any books that you guys recommend that you like?
Well, there's a book that I'm going through right now. It's I read a lot and I listen to a lot of podcasts like you do, and there are amazing books, but a lot of them kind of regurgitate the same information when I've read for a really long time, and they're awesome. So I've kind of ventured out into different subjects and things like that. But there's one that really struck me specifically in the personal finance community that has probably been the most fascinating read I've had in a very long time, and it's called The Psychology of Money. It just came out a couple months ago, but it's a very intriguing book about what actually matters within building and sustaining wealth, and for pretty much everything else in the world, whether you're looking at personal finance or the markets, you can solve with science and mathematics. When you're talking about this virus, conquering this virus or other areas, you can basically build a model around science and probabilities and mathematics, where in the markets and personal finance, there's almost no way to build that model because it's so emotionally charged, and everyone makes completely irrational decisions, when it comes to money, because it's based off of emotion. And so a very fascinating book.
That's very interesting. I'll have to get that one. Psychology of Money.
Psychology of Money.
Awesome.
yeah, there's a lot of books. Like you'll read a book and you'll put it into practice immediately, and then you'll read another book and you might forget that practice. But
That's
like
so
the
true.
one book that like has stuck with me forever and like totally shaped my mindset was Your Money or Your Life.
Okay.
And the whole premise of it is, if you think about money as life energy, because you're trading your time and effort for money, so you're getting paid to spend your life doing something. Every time you spend that money, you're spending life energy. And like the whole book just totally shaped my mindset into that mentality, to where now if I spend money on dumb stuff, it hurts my soul. Like
Yeah.
I'm just like, I work a 9 to 5 job. I get paid, well, it's salary, but still it's like I look at that and I'm like, okay, how long do I have to work to be able to pay for this thing? And when you put it in that perspective that, oh, I wanted a new whatever phone or whatever, and it cost me 4 hours of my life, 5 hours of my life, it really makes an impact on your spending.
That is so true. I just finished a book, Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. And that book, exactly what you said, it's so much about the mindset and just in general, it's like what value do you place on maybe you're buying food at HEB and something that's not healthy is like $4, something that is healthy is $6. So it's kind of saying you value $2 more over your health, So when you put in that perspective, I'm like, oh shoot, really helped me just in general whenever I buy anything or want to eat healthy and all. So that's awesome that you mentioned that.
So kind of going into the psychology, it's always fascinating. We have a lot of people that talk about wanting to get into house hacking, but there's only a certain number of people that actually, do it. What do you feel is the key factor of the reason that people actually house hack and those that don't, or those that set out to do something within real estate and those that don't? Like, what's the X factor in getting people over the hump?
I feel like millennials in general, limiting beliefs about getting a home at this age. It's like, no, this isn't common. Nobody's doing it, so I shouldn't do it. Very, very big limiting belief that I've found through clients. And it's just about educating yourself, first off. And then just in general, kind of getting over that hump of, oh, I'm scared that I'm going to fail. I mean, if you fail forward, you're going to learn regardless. If you don't fail, I mean, it's going to be great for you and for building that legacy. So I feel like mindset is just the most important thing in anything that you put yourself to do. It is crucial to have that open mindset and believe in yourself. You want to bet on yourself always. And with this, I found that just having kind of a purpose, what your big why is, why you want to buy this house. I mean, if it's just like, oh, it's building equity, yeah, that's awesome. But in the long run, okay, that equity, maybe with that equity, I can buy another home through a home equity line of credit. Or maybe with buying this home, I'm going to give it to my kids. You're building your legacy. And if you start right now at this age and whatnot, it's like, oh my gosh, this home that I bought, been taking those tax advantages and then this and that. And now I know, and I'm educating my friends. I love when friends buy homes. And I'm like, dude, this is awesome because I know that this is going to help build your legacy and you're not paying someone else's rent. You're not, I mean, you're paying for a roof over your head. That's important. And with this, if you're renting, that money is not really going to be doing much a month after you pay for it. Roof over your head, okay. But I mean, with a house hack, it's like, okay, we've talked about this already. I mean, it's just that mindset and breaking through that. Very important.
Yeah, for sure. And sustaining a long-term mindset as well. I mean,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you look at it, something that Drew and I talk about a lot is just, building and cultivating a 50-year approach to financing, especially when you're in the financial independence community. I think a lot of people have, such a short term, and sometimes to get you moving in the right direction, you need to have short term goals
Oh,
and
yeah.
feel like you need to do it at a very early age. But cultivating a 50-year approach, similar to something like Warren Buffett, who we talked about earlier. Warren Buffett went through 14 bear markets in his career. 14. I mean, that's a lot of bear markets. And people our age, we have not been through a bear market. I mean, we're in the middle of sort of figuring out what's going to happen. I mean, the markets are, they're all over the place in this past, 10 months. But it's just, we would be fooling ourselves if we don't think we're going to see something similar over our investing career that Buffett did and similar investors did, and cultivating that mindset of sustainability. And that's why I think that book, Psychology of Money, which talks a lot about this, was so intriguing, is that, it almost doesn't matter at all what people do during markets that are up. It's almost
Yeah.
all about what people do when markets are down. And that's something that we never really think about, especially being young people who are built on optimism and seeing the market. I mean, the past 10 years has been the best bull run in American history, of a 10-year stretch. And so we've cultivated this mindset of seeing things be, good and moving forward. But what happens when things get shaky? What happens when, things in the future are a little bit rocky? And so, yeah, sustaining that mindset. But if you're looking at a home ownership in the micro, things might be going good, they might be going bad. But if you're looking in the macro, and you're building it that way, that you're going to build something sustainable.
100%. Love that.
Great thing about real estate, when you look at it long term, I mean, your goal doesn't have to be to have 1,000 units. It can be a vehicle to get you to a separate goal that's not a real estate related goal. So, you could go down the road of house hacking for 10 years and then pivot to start a business, or I don't know, go golf more, like whatever you want to do. It's going to make you more risk adverse to be able to accomplish those goals because you have the cash flow from those rentals, because you set yourself up financially the right way through real estate.
Exactly. I mean, what what hurts the most is just seeing people keep renting, and then I'm like, if you put into perspective, within the year, that rent that you were paying, you could have put a 3% down payment and maybe even have more money in your pocket. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, Andres. Well, we appreciate you coming on. This is amazing. New construction, the advantages to people that are specifically moving into Austin or around the country, especially in markets that are getting very hot. To be able to do what you do, I mean, you add a lot of value, obviously, to your client. Where can people reach out to you? Where can they find a little bit more about you?
Of course. So on my Instagram, Andres Busta, Busta TX. That's my Instagram handle. And then also Facebook, Andres Bustamante. And then I have a house hacking blog that I put posts on regularly. It's househackaustin.com. Doesn't really, it pertains to Austin, yes. But I mean, if people are looking anywhere, I talk a lot about my deals and what questions to ask agents, lenders, and also it can pertain to anywhere in the U.S.
Awesome, man. Well, we genuinely appreciate you coming on. I mean, this was fascinating. I think a lot of people are going to get take a lot away from this, whether they want to be an agent, whether they want to house hack in Austin, whether they are in similar markets around the country that are emerging markets to where there's a lot of development going on, similar to Austin. I think there are just so many great nuggets to be taken away from this.
Oh, of course. And thank you guys. I really, really appreciate you guys for letting me come on.